everybody, and welcome back to the C4 podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed Charlie Sauls and Latham over the past couple of weeks and their messages. This week, I am joined by, as always, Nathan Cannon down there, bearded one, Jake Sullivan. I'm Howard, and to my right, we have some guests with us today who we're going to be talking. This is the kind of the main focus, the main topic today is I have Colby Sullivan and Leigh Anna Brown. There is a ton of nicknames we have for these guys, but we're gonna let it roll tonight. Today we're not gonna mention the nicknames, but we wanted to bring these.
To call her Doctor.
Dr. Brown, Dr. Sullivan.
I'm not going to be a doctor.
You're not gonna be a doctor?
Physician assistant.
Oh,
That's close enough.
No.
Well, evidently we're not.
She's got to go back to school. She's got to go back for more school to be for a doctor. But she's only going to be a PA.
Oh, only going to be a PA.
I see what I mean. We're not professionals. It's okay.
Only a PA. I'm just kidding. What's Colby?
Colby is the asset manager and property manager for veteran-owned real estate, and he is actually looking towards a promotion potentially in the next 6 months or so to COO.
And your son.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And my son.
Let's just not talk about that.
Well, I follow him and try and just do.
But we have these guys on because they are engaged to be married coming up in June. 202 days. Only the female would know that. 200.
It's never too late to quit.
202 days from now, they will be wed. I've had the opportunity to know both of these wonderful human beings individually before they were actually engaged. I've known Colby since 2017, 16, 17, 18, somewhere there. Yeah. I think you were a freshman or sophomore in high school. Sophomore in high school. And then I've known Leigh Anna since she was in the 7th grade. Wow.
Such a baby.
You were a baby. Now Leigh Anna is a senior in college at Clemson, and Colby's in the workforce. We just went through. So they are engaged, and the topic we really want to talk to them about. I've kind of done something that Leigh Anna doesn't particularly like, but it's how we roll in the podcast. We don't script anything. We go off of a key here. So I'm gonna get the honest looks. So we're gonna be talking about marriage, specifically engagement, dating, courting, things like that. How you two are able to do that in a world that's countercultural to a degree. But before we do that, we really have to get your story. And Jake's not going to say a word. He's just going to sit here and listen.
Well, he's never really we don't really ever tell the story.
Well, good. So now for our audience, just dying to know, but no, but there's a point behind this. There's a point behind our audience, and our hope today is to reach individuals that are they're going to be married, but at the same time, let people know that it is possible. It is very, very much possible to be in a relationship that doesn't involve sex, doesn't involve partying all the time, doesn't involve, there is, biblical way. Now, does it mean both of you two are perfect? Heck no, all right? We'll be the first hands up accountability that we're not perfect, all right? But there's a possibility, there's a way that it can be done. So please feel free to tell us a little bit how this thing started.
Do you want my side first?
I mean, it doesn't really have too much difference per side, but go ahead.
So we were friends first.
Close to the mic.
We were friends first.
Coke.
It'll lower, so you don't have to.
Definitely friends first. We knew each other whenever I was in 7th grade, actually, and he was a sophomore. That's when we met for the first time and just hung out and were friends. And then I found out his brother was in my grade, and so then that was
Bryce Sullivan, who y'all had him. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I was like, connecting the dots to who these people were. But then we only hung out during football season at like football games, because what else were you going to do on a Friday night other than go to the football games?
And also your little middle school self was in the student section of all the high schoolers.
I was, yeah. And then you went to my freshman year. We were in the same friend group, roughly. But also different because obviously you were a senior. I was a freshman. And then you went off to school. I was still here, obviously, and I was going to church all the time. Like, that was pretty much my outlet of social exposure. That was my friend group. That was where I was all the time, was church or FCA or insert whatever it was. And I had been really wanting a boyfriend, but looking in all the wrong places.
Dude,
It's a country song.
that's a podcast in itself there, but we're not gonna,
Next episode, Leanna looking for love.
in all the wrong places.
All the wrong places.
She at least got to the right destination.
Oh my God. See, you remember, I just said a few minutes ago, we're not perfect. There it is, right?
But then I like kind of was like, okay, let's just focus on my walk and focus on like what I'm doing and establish myself. And then COVID hit, and Colby was home, and they started coming to the church that I was going to at the time, and I knew Bryce, and so I was like, oh my gosh, I finally have someone to sit with, because I was always just jumping who I was sitting with on Sunday. So I started sitting with them, and I started hanging out with them, and we were just friends, and I was told he only looked at me like a little sister.
That's, wow.
And I was very heartbroken and cried about it. Bryce was the one who told me that.
It's a thing called denial.
And then after youth one night during COVID, because what else? We only went to like out to eat and then would come back to the church. And like we did stuff out because you couldn't.
COVID's such a good time, wasn't
Oh, such a fun time. And we would FaceTime at night and watch Star Wars, because Colby said it was a crime I had not seen Star Wars. And
You also had not seen just about anything.
I have not.
Star Wars, yeah, I haven't really seen them all either. So
Well, I have now.
wow, yeah, it's not a crime, but go ahead.
But so then we were like talking all the time, and we had like been to a basketball game. That was when we like exchanged phone numbers, really, was like basketball game and stuff. Because we went to Winter Extreme together, and then you came back, basketball game, and my mom's friend was convinced that we were dating, and I was like, we are not. And then
You also offered me your phone number under the guise of checking in on my brother,
I
which was
sure did.
That is
smooth in hindsight.
I
Very
sure
smooth in
did.
hindsight.
That
That's similar story with me and Cindy. Yeah, but yeah, go ahead.
But so then you started coming to church more, coming home on the weekends, and we just like kept overlapping. And then we served at the tornado whenever it came to Nicksville constantly. Like, we were in the same group serving and doing things, and I was like, okay, I really like this guy. But then was once again told he didn't look at me like that. And then after youth one night, he looked at me and said, is it bad I want to kiss you right now?
Oh no! All right, that's just got weird. I just go,
we just went from G to
Because me and Colby had never been in a relationship before, so we didn't know what we were doing. And so then Colby kissed me and told me have a good night, and then I got a text and said, so I guess we're dating now, right?
No. Wow. God, this is so, I'm embarrassed.
Your renditions of it will never not be.
It will live on the internet forever. We're gonna play it at the wedding.
You should.
Holly, bust us into some wedding reels for us.
Always just enough detail, but also leave out just enough that it makes it way weirder.
And then you got in the car with your brother and said we were friends.
Super weird.
And then you texted me and we started dating.
Yeah.
And then I didn't see him for a month because it was COVID. And had COVID. And so their whole house
This
was
is
quarantined.
terrible. You started dating her, and then like their whole household got COVID.
Yeah, so for a whole
Yeah.
month I never saw my
Well,
boyfriend.
actually, I didn't, but that didn't matter.
Yeah.
So then I never saw my boyfriend for the first month we were dating. And then our first date was at their house on the couch with Cohen, asking why was I not hanging out with him.
All right, Colby. There's some details in there you probably need to add so it doesn't seem like we have to call the cops. So go ahead. So go ahead. So.
Actually, when I say that part.
I'll say that at my
But,
home.
Most of that's pretty spot on, but most of the whole like a sister thing was just outright denial, because that process from friends to finally just getting with the program was almost a year.
Colby.
I was in denial for probably about 9 months of that year.
This was 2019.
And you
right?
could honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, you could see it too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty obvious to everybody.
It was.
But Colby.
It was obvious to everybody.
And
but
Leigh Anna.
Colby.
Because apparently she was just
Apparently.
a sister.
Now you see why we had to have Nathan. You see?
I was trying.
Perfectly
I stayed up and
acceptable,
watched
right?
Star Wars with this man.
Yes, you did.
Oh wow, this is gonna be the greatest podcast ever. This is gonna get all the views. I can see the subtitle now: Hampton Church kid dates sister.
I literally was going to lunches on Sunday with these people, and I was not in the family. And we went for your birthday, and I could watch Miss Alice look in between us and try to figure out, was I with Bryce or was I with Colby? Because I was sitting in the middle.
I remember that too.
Oh wow!
And then that Wednesday you kissed me and we were dating.
You're dating after a kiss. That's just so. It's so. But you know what I
so
love?
innocent.
That's what I love. That's what I was gonna say. It's so innocent. That's an innocent way of. That's how you guys grew up in the culture of social media. Grew up in the culture of COVID. You mentioned COVID. We grew up in that, in the culture where a love letter, check yes or no by George Strait was
Skating
like
rinks.
skating rinks and stuff like was legitimately the thing. So that to me brings back a little bit of how we grew up. Oh, you kissed me, we're dating now, kind of thing. And instead of let's talk for 7 months and let's test drive the cars and that's just the difference in our culture. It's refreshing to know that that innocence is there, and I attribute that to you said you were in church, you grew up in a position where you knew that, and the fact that you respected that doesn't mean that you didn't go without your temptations or your issues or your struggles. That's not what it
Well, it was hard because you had guys pursuing you that was what, and all the girls were like, well, that's what you get. Like, that's what works. And I was like, but that just feels icky. Like, this just feels weird.
Yeah.
And, like, you had Snapchat and you had people texting. Like, I had all the things, but I didn't want it because I was like, this just feels like, and it was in church. Like, that was not.
We did not have Snapchat.
But no, I understand that. I mean, that's the case. Like, it's so, I've always said before, with the culture that you guys live in, dating, with the access to your phones, and the one thing that I am thankful that we did not have was Life 360. Cameras everywhere. But at the same time, it's you guys. I mean, it's in the palm of your hand. And now it's all about, you see these podcasts out there and all this.
Well, Colby did have Life 360. I can tell you when your dad's a highway patrolman or a Hampton cop, they know where you're at all times if you're in Hampton County.
Yeah, I was screwed either way. So luckily I didn't do too much. So.
My mom taught kindergarten. The only pre-K teacher in the county for a hot minute there. So.
But yeah, so that kind of, brings me to, you guys were engaged in was it last year? 24. So y'all dated a hot minute, 4 years, 3 years, 3 or 4? 4 years before you guys were engaged. And then I know that you graduated high school in 22, and from Wade Hampton the year before it went to Hampton. No, it was 2 years before it went to Hampton County.
The year before the last year.
Yeah, so graduated from Wade Hampton, and graduated from Wade Hampton. So you guys have been engaged for a little over a year now, and getting married in December of 26. We're almost at the end of 25. Wow. Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you guys about a specific scripture, and in Ephesians, simply because I think this is a tough topic for married couples and going into the marriage. And I've had the opportunity to counsel y'all for the past year, really. And we got a few more sessions left before we get into into the marriage. But one of the first conversations we had was understanding there's one thing that is required for me to marry you, and that is that you both understand the gospel. And that is, I will not marry a couple that, and this is just my personal conviction, that is unequally yoked, because God's word says we're not supposed to be unequally yoked. And but one of the things, excuse you, one of the things, Fresca, one of the things that a verse that I think that we look at it and we kind of frown on it because of the culture that we live in. What do you think of when I read this verse? Wives, be subject to your own husband and as to the Lord. What do you think of right off the bat when I say that?
For me,
Yeah.
that takes a lot of pressure off of me. I have defended this verse so many times to my friends because they're like, oh, be subject, that means you're lesser than. Which is not the case. You just have, like, I have no issue being subject to my husband if you then read the next paragraph that says what the husband's supposed to be doing. I should have that's easy to be subject to someone who's doing that. But if you just read wives be subject to your husband, well, that sounds like crap. That sounds like, oh, I'm just supposed to do whatever he says, and like, oh, I'm just here, like I'm whatever. That's not. So for me, I love that passage because so many people have misconceptions about it, so that then I get to have a conversation of like, well, if he loves like Christ loves the church, well, Christ loved the church enough to die and put himself up for them and to be there for them and to serve them and to love them. So yeah, that's pretty easy. That's fine with me. But if he's not, then there's a different conversation that needs to be had, which is what you then open the door to of like, well, is this what your husband's doing? Which I've had conversations where I said, they're like, oh, are you okay doing that? I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, dog. But then they're like, well, why? So then I read that part and then they get mad and they leave because their man's typically not leading in that way or loving in that way or serving in that way. So then, but I used to not like that passage until I knew what it meant.
Yeah, I mean, that's really, I think the big thing was you got to keep reading.
Yeah.
It's people take that one verse and make it what they want to make it, but just keep reading a little bit.
Well, because if you're going to be subject, suitable helper, going off of that, like that's the term helper is the same exact wordage of helper that the Holy Spirit was given to the people of God. That's what a woman's supposed to be for their man. So yes, that's a lot of pressure for me to like be doing my walk, but if I'm doing it, he's doing it probably, because then he's keeping me doing it, so then I have no issue doing it, if that makes any sense.
It makes some perfect sense.
And if you're both going towards Christ, you're going in the same direction, you're going to the same place.
Well, that's how I knew to date him, was we were running the same race and we just kept being, like, you would look around every once in a while and I'm there.
Yeah.
That didn't sound weird. Colby just pops up.
Verse 23 says, "For the husband is the head of the wife." Like, really, that I think that is a lot where the that feministic sexism type inabilities comes in, where it says, "For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ also is the head of the church, he himself being the Savior of the body. But as the church is subject to Christ, so also the wives ought to be to their husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her." You read that verse, then it's like, all right, this is a different level, right?
Well, then you get to the next verse and it says sanctify, so he's only making you better by doing what he's doing. So then I also have no issue doing it.
Yeah. Very, very good. So let me ask you what kind of job you have there, Colby.
The hardest one.
We're not talking about because Leigh Anna is a lot.
No.
We're just saying in general. we're just saying. I talked to her the other day on the phone and she said crash out 17 times. I'm like, I'm gonna pause you. What does that mean? And she explained it. I'm like, okay, gotcha. All right, let's go. All right, it's like the kids with what's that? I'm not even saying it. Yeah, but yeah, tell me, what's your job about, man?
Well, it's with that proper context of what it's supposed to be. When you are supposed to be leading properly, it is basically running the race, so to speak, for chasing, trying to be like Jesus, as much like Christ as possible. It is quite literally like the purest form of saying outright that you have to basically, to do it properly, embody him as perfectly as you possibly can, which we can't. So it's a steady improvement and a steady goal to reach, even though it's not attainable in its perfect sense. It's the perfect example that we have to reach. And as long as we can at least continue to improve and grow closer, it basically just screams how important faith in itself is and following Christ properly. Because if you actually are, then that kind of sorts itself out.
Yeah.
But we kind of suck. So
Yeah.
it's
But
not
yeah,
easy.
but your constant pursuit of glorification and your walk in sanctification is going to let her know that you are going to treat her as the best that you possibly can, because you said it sanctifies her, like that verse. The next verse says it's because you are being sanctified by Christ, and that to me is, I think, that level of, and the reason why this can take place and we can have this conversation is because you're both believers. I've had it before where I've had conversations where I think there's people to this day that will not talk to me because if you're living together before marriage, I won't marry you. It just is what it is. I mean, I've told you guys that up front. So I won't marry you if you're living together before marriage because it's wrong. I mean, it's sinful in a manner. Now, some people are opposite in that regard. Some people will say, well, if I don't marry him, then who's going to marry him? And, all this stuff. It's just where I think the first and foremost thing is marriage is altered by God, not by man. I will never, ever be able to go off my convictions based off of what I think something should be right. I'm not going to marry you because, if I marry you, then I'm going to make it right. Then that means I made it right. And it's never going to be right in God's eyes, because ultimately it's altered by God, not by man. And you guys never had that difficult of a conversation. Now there's people that I've been uninvited to weddings, not invited to do counseling. I get that coming with the territory. It's because of the culture we live in. You guys are countercultural in that way when it comes to that. And then if I were to have to ask you a question, because we're not perfect, the one thing that y'all struggle with as a couple, just one, not like, remember, she can't take the face away.
You said what's one thing?
Just
like
one.
Your
Just
biggest thing.
the
What's
biggest thing,
hard?
the hardest thing that y'all have had to kind of like, it's a struggle. I think I know what it is because we talked about it at lunch today.
Oh, communication.
Yeah. Right? Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of multiple different things, of course, but yeah, probably.
Does it all come down to communication?
Pretty much.
Yeah, majority, definitely.
Well, that seems to be interesting. Go to Genesis. Read in Genesis. The biggest problem with Adam and Eve was what? Communication. Would you agree that communication is probably, and we're not talking about finances and kids and sex and all that stuff. I'm talking about in the agreement.
Well, those issues will be solved if we can communicate well.
Yeah, for the most part. So wouldn't you say communication is key there, Jake?
It's probably the biggest problem in every marriage, whether it's recognized or not. So, yes, finances, children, other family dynamics, those are other things that come up in marriage. But communication is probably, well, I'll say it's probably the most common that people think about, but ultimately, it all comes down to knowing the proper structure of how we're supposed to live. I think that's the biggest problem, but people don't recognize it, and then that is that each person individually has to put God first. And when you put God first and then put your spouse second, then everything else flows.
And then children.
And then children. Yeah, I mean, that's the
Tell
tough.
them mama bears that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Look, it's tough. And when we were talking at lunch today, I told both of them, I think the fact that they know that structure, they are so much farther ahead of most young couples. I didn't know that when I first got married, and I think a lot of people don't. And like I was just saying, as long as both people are running towards Christ, they're going to run into each other and they're going to be side by side. So I would say that communication comes a close second to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say priorities. Like,
Sure.
what is, and then that goes into communication. Because if you don't prioritize doing the communication and pouring into each other as well as like your relationship with Christ, it's not going to work.
All right. Colby?
Y'all have had the unique, I guess maybe not unique, but the advantage of being 3.5 hours apart and having to learn to communicate. So soon,
I don't know how
when y'all
much
are,
that's an advantage, to be honest with you. It's been probably one of the things
Because
that
when
helped
you-
stress it more.
next year, when you're beside each other all the time,
24/7.
24/7, you have to look at each other. Sometimes you're gonna be tired of it, but you will communicate better because
You have
you've had that practice.
And divorce is not an option. And I think that is something that is, man, that's a sin that we have learned to just, she's fine, she's fidgety, I'm the same way.
We've taken marriage and made it a civil contract versus a godly covenant.
Yeah.
So
Well,
at
also
that point,
people
we
would just throw that around to just throw that around in an argument or throw that around in a
Oh, yeah.
attack mode type thing, or girls will just pull you. Some of my girlfriends have said before, well, it's okay, if it doesn't work, you can just. I'm like, no.
Yeah. Well, you gotta remember, they're probably not on the same level playing field as you
No,
are.
they're not.
when
But
it comes
that's
to
something
spiritual.
as a countercultural couple that you can just people will just tell you that off the rip easy. That then you have to be able to defend of no, this is what the Bible says, which do you believe the Bible's true? Then maybe we have a different conversation. But that's a challenge for couples is that people just get that option.
We're talking about counseling a little bit.
Ooh.
You guys do have an advantage there, and this has nothing to do with me, goodness gracious, but it's the fact that you do take it seriously. My counseling, nothing against the person that married me because he's my family and I love him to death and I think the world of him, but I was not, goodness gracious, God's sovereignty is amazing. I was not saved when me and Cindy were married. So my counseling consisted of the person that counseling me saying, she doesn't have to sleep with you, Howard. I'm like, well, that's refreshing. But there wasn't any, that was it. You guys are kind of going through an extensive process here of counseling, and I think it's going to be readily prepare you for, and we've had these conversations, when you start living together. She's going to drive you crazy in some things. You're going to drive him crazy in some things, and it's going to be totally, you're going to be prepared the best that you can be. Now, I mean that as the best that you can be to handle that. When we talk about the word divorce, which is not even in our vocabulary, yeah, I blame it on the couple if they're not properly being married, but I can also date it back to some of the pastors as well, some of the people that counsel individuals, and not being equally yoked and stuff like that. It's, marriage is between a man and a woman for a lifetime, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. And you guys y'all have seen it from both ends. Neither one of you guys come from a divorced parents.
Remember, murder is also a sin, so
Yeah.
that death part doesn't count.
What you always tell me, Colby? Who's the prime suspect?
Oh, yes. Yeah, primary suspect is always the spouse. Just remember that.
Because what is your life insurance policy?
May or may not have one right now.
Oh, you do.
I didn't even know that.
But you guys kind of both come from a relation, parents who weren't always perfect, but they fought, and y'all got to see you got to see biblical marriage at the end. But so talk to me about a little bit about, your experience so far within the counseling sessions and what you've learned and what you haven't learned, and or not necessarily haven't learned, but what you've learned, what has been helpful the most part. And we're not going to talk about our little secret that we're going to keep for the wedding. But as far as what is something that you're like, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that this was, going to be emphasized that much. And we're not completely done yet, so it could be coming. But so far, we're at it. See, I told you I was going to get the true, genuine.
So there's not anything that's really jumping in my mind right immediately.
You mumble, so you might need to.
How about thinking something?
What you got? Something that you're set down and maybe it's just the experience. Maybe you didn't realize it was going to be this in depth, or maybe it wasn't. Do you think it's prepared you? When you get married, do you think you're going to be prepared as much as you can be? What is the one thing that you think that you're going to have to? You're looking towards marriage, and what are you looking forward to? Outside of being not 3.5 hours apart. And G-rated, please.
Hey, we did up at the PG earlier.
For me, I would say getting to actually do life together, because we're kind of pseudo doing life together right now. You're friends, but dating's not really biblical. Engagement's really not biblical. What's biblical is marriage. So dating's fun and all, but it's a glorified friendship, honestly. Because dating's never once mentioned in the Bible.
Yeah, we could marry you like they did in the Bible. Here, you can have my daughter. Here's a tent.
I'll take some goats or sheep, maybe a cow.
But I get what you're saying. Keep going.
It's a glorified friendship. So wow, we get FaceTime at night. And how was your day?
So sweet.
But getting to do the life part together of you're together, one species, doing life.
Oneness.
Yeah.
Right. Cool.
I really don't know how to put it any better than that. Really and truly.
You're learning.
It's
Speak
pretty similar though. It's obviously actually being properly together finally, and not the distance, not
Just wait till she's freaking out in med school now. Same difference is medical.
According to the government, it's not. But getting to actually see fruit of the background of bettering yourself, because you can better yourself all day long and hide it when you're not living together. So then for me, I struggle sometimes seeing the fruit of things because I'm not seeing the background work. Whereas when you're married, you're living together, so you're gonna see the fruit.
You see the best and the worst.
Correct.
And in between. Yep. 100%.
So you're getting to see more of the best because you're not having to wait on him to complete you up, or wait on
Is Chivalry dead? Is he opening the door for you?
Yeah, he does. He opens up for my
Chivalry's
friends
not
too.
dead. Which is another lost art, by the way.
Trying to keep it alive one action at a time.
Yeah.
My friends get annoyed because he opens the door for them and they're like, "We can do it," and he's like, "You don't get it."
Yeah, she can do it. You can more than welcome do it. That's perfectly fine. And there's some other words that we can use that women could probably do too, but it's not, people don't understand that frame of courtship. You're talking about marriage and stuff like that, and engagement, courtship. I've told you guys since day one, why do we date? Why do you date?
To evaluate.
To evaluate what? If what?
Oh, if you should be married.
If this person's married. If you're dating just to date, then don't date. And I've told.
You've told me that since 7th grade.
Since 7th grade. I was like, what is the point in dating? You're like, well, I gotta try this person out. I gotta try, why? And you want to find qualities in someone Now, it doesn't always mean the person's going to work out or whatever, but you want to be looking for the qualities in someone that you could potentially marry.
But also, you need to have that boundary that you are not married.
Yeah.
Because some people have the boundary of, oh, they are supposed to love me like Christ loves the church because they're my boyfriend. Like, no, that's the role of a husband.
Yeah.
That is not the role of a boyfriend. Just like a girlfriend does not have to submit to their boyfriend.
No.
And they shouldn't, because that was something I struggled with of like, oh, they're giving me attention, so like I have to now like do whatever they want. When like, no, you don't. You do what you want.
That's right.
So that's
but that comes down to the being equally yoked in a relationship with Christ to court. I've had the same conversation with the college kids that we've had. Same conversation with Latham and Charlie and Bryce and every young person that I had to, I know a bunch of young kids because of FCA youth, but every young person that I really honestly discipled and lived life, with, I've always had the conversation, hey, if you're going to date for a reason. Date for, could this be the person?
The correct reason.
Yeah, for the correct reason. This person could not marry this person. You'll know I had the same conversation with Bryce 2 years ago. And it's just one of those deals. And you guys, as you approach marriage, it's not going to be perfect. We know that. We all have our personalities. We all have our wants and desires. We all have our selfishness inside of us.
But also you have to deny yourself.
That's right. That's right. So you guys are approaching the big day quickly. It's going to be here before you know it. It'll be in June. Mm-hmm. What day is it? June 8th? 9th?
13th.
I was close.
Is that Friday?
That is a Saturday.
I'm married now. I better might need to figure this out. Might need to put it on my calendar. Just her face. She's like, "Are you kidding me right now?" I'm like, it's on the calendar. But as you approach the big day, all right. Number one? How's the wedding planning going? All right. Okay.
Hello, people.
Good advice. It's a lot cheaper.
Preach.
I did offer that multiple times, but you did say no.
Because I won't.
Matter of fact, I think I offered that at counseling.
Sure did day one.
It's like, what? Just elope.
But no, don't get your fairy tale wedding, girls. It's fine.
No. Let me ask you this. Jake offered you 10 grand. I will give you 10 grand right now. Let's bump it to 20. Give you 20 grand right now. It's yours. Or I can pay for a wedding. Which one would you take?
I can answer it for her.
The wheels are turning. Jake's like,
And she should have the wedding.
Not just for that though, because how many times are you gonna have those people in a sphere under where the gospel's being presented?
Dang it, Leanna. Now you're making me. Now you're putting me out there. She just gaslighted me in a nice way. She done a good job. You're all right, dude. Good job.
Because no one's gonna. You're never gonna have that again. Those people will never be together again until a funeral.
Well, maybe it's a wedding there, Mom. I was going to bust on you. Maybe it's a wedding and a funeral.
It is.
You're dying to yourself.
You are. And Leanna Brown no longer exists. Like
Leanna Sullivan.
From single to plural. LABS.
I love it. That's so good.
Are you going to be Leanna Brown Sullivan?
Yes.
You're going to have a hyphen?
No, it is not going to happen.
It's not gonna be as hyphen. It's just gonna move
Oh,
on.
we didn't cover this in counseling.
Labs.
Labs.
She's going to go from
Single
lab
to
to
plural.
labs.
Lab to labs.
Yeah.
But that does go against the one that's thing a little bit.
Yeah, that's why it's not wedding.
Okay, so as we approach marriage, what is the one thing that number one, that you look forward to? And we've already talked about that. Number two, where do you think that you see a potential for struggle?
I'm very strong-headed.
No, not at all.
Yeah, both of us, unfortunately,
We're very
does
stubborn.
make some of the communication issues probably worse than they would be
Mm-hmm.
otherwise. Because neither of us really like to admit when we're wrong. I'm probably the worst one of it.
You just wait until the kid comes out.
5 years.
All
Dog.
that goes away when the kid comes out.
5 years, dog.
5?
Plenty of time.
5 years? Yeah.
They have a way of just coming whenever they want.
No. Science and me, no, they don't.
No, they'll just magically appear.
Oh,
That's a story for another time.
Nathan. Oh,
Hey, you
goodness.
can plan all you want, but sometimes God has a way of making things happen, whether you were planning to or not.
Yeah.
We're really pushing the PG rating for this one.
I've had 5 people in the past week tell me, make sure you're ready to not have a kid. Or don't have a kid the second you marry. I've had that advice from a friend.
I mean, that's good
Yeah.
advice. I think you should.
Yeah, I'm
you
just saying
should
that has been
live
my
for a year or
conversation
two.
life for
Yeah.
5 weeks is like everyone being
It
like,
was 3. Me and Cindy were married 3 years before
Like,
Martin came out.
it would be great to live a year or two getting to know each other and getting that time before you have kids. I would definitely recommend that.
I need my master's degree first.
In PA school.
Physician assistant studies.
Who's not professional.
Yep.
We learn.
Oh, Nathan. So you would say y'all both headstrong, like,
Very.
yeah, I totally can see that every counseling session that we had.
Well, also, like, you weren't, and like not getting on you any, but like you weren't where to like I was leading for a good 3 years.
Yeah, we were definitely both believers, which I do credit her with helping me get back to it, because I was in a very deep rut at the time initially, and then that gap's just been kind of steadily closing over the last couple of years. But definitely for a vast majority, she was a lot stronger in her faith than I was. So
That
that's
seems to be a trend. It's
Yeah.
trendy. And,
and it does make some, especially when it comes to actually leading properly, it does make it harder.
does it make it right? No, but it's trendy. I mean, it's a thing that is we see it all the time.
It's very common.
Very common.
Very common.
Very common. We
Well,
see it all
because
the time.
girls are trying to find belonging in something a lot quicker than boys do. So girls are going to find that in church. They're going to find worth in church because that's just easier. And then the boys come along, and then it's like, oh, well, we are following the girl who's in church.
Yeah. Well, I see that in FCA. I see that with our FCA leadership team and stuff like that. It's been like that ever since you've been in. You know, it's been like that.
But I think you should look around. Like, don't, when you're, like, as a girl, like, let's say, younger girl not dating somebody or looking to date somebody, run your race. Because I didn't find him until I was focused on my race first.
Yeah.
Because whenever I was looking around at everybody else, there were a lot of options, but they were not good ones. But then once I nose to the grindstone, focused on my walk, then looked up, and then would go back to my walk, and then would look up.
Yeah.
Just there was a constant. And that's how I knew to pursue that person instead of looking around all the time.
Yeah. Y'all got this under control. Y'all got it ready. So some advice for couples out there that are trying to be in a relationship in this culture that says that you're supposed to live together, that you're supposed to have sex, that you're supposed to have all these things. Biblical boundaries.
When you text, what time? What are you texting on? How are you hanging out together? Are you hanging out together in a bedroom or hanging out together in a living room? Are you hanging out where like other people can come in? Like make it to where it's hard to do things that you shouldn't be doing.
Aside from the boundaries, honestly, the seemingly lost art of self-control. Because it's a good skill to have regardless.
The fruit of the Spirit, man.
And it's not easy. It's very easy to just give in to primal things, basically. But
Good word.
self-control is always helpful, no matter what it is, whether it's from peer pressure of social things or something sexual. I mean, it's
Also, it's kind of good to have those feelings. Don't mask those. Because well, as a girl in the church, I was taught you didn't make boys stumble. You didn't wear clothes that you shouldn't wear. You should cover yourselves and you should.
All very true.
Correct. But
Hold on now. All very true. But go ahead. Go.
But to the point that it was like, you can't feel those things. You shouldn't feel those
Sure.
things. That's not, a woman is supposed to hide themselves and not supposed to even like think of those things. That's not a thing, that's not allowed. To which those are okay things to have, you just have to deny them till the right time. Because I thought something was wrong with me when I started liking him in different ways, because I had never I thought those were bad things to feel.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was taught in the church setting, which I think is a church issue of.
No, I agree. I mean, the boundaries, what we're talking about is you don't want, and I've always used this. I'm glad that you actually brought this up because this is a topic. Oh my goodness, this topic. We're talking about modesty is more or less what it is. It's, you don't want to, go ahead.
No.
You go.
No,
I'm looking for, sorry. Modesty. Sorry, buddy. Modesty is the word that, it's one of those things, it's a lost art because it'll be said that, like if you say, for example, hey, Leanna probably shouldn't wear that or whatever. And it's,
Which he has.
why are you, or like if a pastor were to do that or whoever, be careful what you wear, like thing. Well, what are you looking at me for? Well, hold on, time out. I'm not, because you're wearing it. You want everybody to know. You want everybody to see. Come on, man.
Well, it's not just about what you wear. That's the big issue,
Yeah.
that it's pointed to what you wear, not a heart posture of modesty.
Okay.
Because if you have a heart posture of modesty, of I don't want to cause a stumbling block, period, not with what I wear, but also, what am I entertaining as conversations? What am I entertaining in, like, what am I doing? Like, actions are modest, words are modest, heart posture is modest. But the church pushes a clothing modesty.
A legalistic side.
Correct. And it's a clothing modesty. Yeah. That's what's pushed. And don't do the thing. Like,
yeah, so it's kind of like basically what I was talking about this morning in preaching. Our passion is for Christ, and out of that will become your priority. So what you necessarily, in some things, it's a sanctification process. I can't expect a young lady that doesn't know any better to do any,
It also shouldn't come from a man, though. That's a call to the women in the church of it shouldn't just be a male pastor telling them these things about modesty. There should be young women in the church loving on these younger girls, saying, hey, it's not just about what you wear, it's also about where you, like, what are you, like, all the things I just said. Like, it coming from you, that they're gonna be like, oh, he's a man, like, ugh.
Yeah.
Whereas if there's a young woman doing life with them and showing that, because there's also a thing of, like, you're gonna lead by, like, you're gonna follow what you're under. Like, if there's a woman leading doing these things, okay, well, then the girls under them are most likely gonna do it.
Yeah. It's a good point.
That could be you, Leanna.
It already is.
But as a pastor, as congregating, as shepherding the church, as elders, we have to address those things. And and that's just, it's nothing but it comes to a heart, like you said, a heart posture. And I think that's a very good way of looking at it. Ones that are saved that get offended based off of what you may or may not say about what they may be wearing are not denying themselves. And that is where, and this is a conversation that I've, unfortunately, as a youth pastor, as a person, we have to deal with these things. And people think that I like doing it. It's so uncomfortable for me. It's so uncomfortable. But I've never, there's a way that you say it. You don't be like, hey, you shouldn't wear that, like, hey, be careful what you wear is an overall thing, and stuff like that. You just can't walk up and say, hey, let's not wear that anymore. Like, what is wrong with this? You may or may not know.
That's a quotation from Howard R. Black to Leanna Brown
What?
4 years ago.
What?
Let's not wear this anymore.
But that goes back to a relationship too.
Yeah.
You got a
That's
relationship.
also the thing, like, you couldn't, like, that's what I'm going back to. Like, there should be more intentionality between the leaders and the people that's under them. Because if there's an intentional woman in their life, which I was lucky to have, I learned behaviors that I should have versus what I shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before that, I did not have that, and so I just did whatever all the girls did. And the girls that I was under were not girls I should have been under. So then I watched their behaviors and learned off of them, which is a big thing in the church. There's not that there shouldn't be men in the church. Don't take that. There should be more women doing more things. That's not just, I'm going to deal with the nursery. And then
what you're saying is women have a different role in the church than men to make the church be what it should.
And I feel like that's been pushed away a lot, is the women's role is let's cook and let's be in the nursery.
Or let's lead.
Like leading where they shouldn't be leading?
Correct.
Oh, yeah, duh.
Okay.
I got real confused when that was going, and I was like,
well, that is, we're gonna end it there.
It's almost like the church is built as an example to a marriage.
No,
No.
not at all. Why would you think such things?
Crazy. The man
Jesus Christ, like that
leads the
church.
marriage.
It's crazy, but no, I've enjoyed having you guys. We could talk for hours.
I like what she was just talking about. And we
Which
may
is
do
good,
it
man.
in December when
Yeah.
she's home again. We may do
We might bring her back on and let her
Yeah.
rock.
talk
We-
about
we
the
may
women's
have-
role and
May have found a niche for old Leanna Brown.
Have a whole series.
I will
Yeah.
come.
We may have found an old niche for Labs Brown Sullivan when she comes back. Is we might let her do the female podcast side of things.
The women's side of it, yeah.
That'd be good. C4 Women's Podcast. That would be tight.
Yeah.
Strictly for the women.
That was so 1990s, dude. That'd be tight.
That'd be tight. I'm shook.
Never.
You know what, dude? I can't.
That's tight. That's
All right.
tight, dog.
Mic drop.
Just-
Here, wait.
His mics cost too much. Let's don't do that.
That's why I took the cocaine.
All right. So it's been a wonderful afternoon. We hope all of you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We thank Leanna and Colby for coming on here. We'll have you guys back. It's been a very entertaining, very fun talking to you guys. And with that being the case, Nathan, take us away.
We'd like to invite everybody on Wednesday nights at 6:30 and again on Sunday mornings at 10:30 at the Hampton County Rec Center. And if you enjoy these podcasts, please consider supporting our ministry through Tidely. Thank you.